Ladies and gentlemen, I am bringing to you this reaction video coming from the disqualification of Joost Klein, the Europapa in Eurovision 2024. This is really unbelievable. This is really disheartening for most of us who are his fans. Honestly, I couldn't believe that this guy couldn't go far. Despite his beautiful performance, Europapa, with a different vibe in his performance. Honestly, I felt so bad on hearing that this guy is disqualified. But without further ado, let's check out the reasons for his disqualification. Anyway, let's hear from the media.
Now, Joost Klein, the Dutch contestant in this year's Eurovision Song Contest, has been disqualified just hours before the final in the Swedish city of Malmo. The singer did not perform in Friday's dress rehearsals after what organizers described as an incident. The competition organizer says police are investigating a complaint from a female member of the production crew. Klein's song Europapa was among the favorites to win. Joining me now is my colleague from DW Culture, Rosalie Engels. Hello, Rosalie. Nice to have you. It's quite interesting what's happening with the song contest. Do we know more about why the Dutch singer Joost Klein has been disqualified?
Yeah, so the EBU, the organizers of the Eurovision, have actually kept their public statement rather vague, just saying that there was an ongoing police investigation involving a female crew member without really giving any further details. But then today, in the course of the afternoon, Af Rotos, the Dutch broadcaster, who is one of the many broadcasters funding and broadcasting the Eurovision every year, has come out with a statement on social media saying that Joost Klein did in fact make a threatening movement towards a female crew member. But this was in reaction to her not leaving him alone after he repeatedly said that he didn't want to be filmed. They are calling the disqualification or the exclusion of Joost Klein from the event rather disproportionate and say that they are disappointed with the decision. As you can imagine, the reactions of the fans have been pretty intense, both at the venue as well as on social media. They say they're confused and they don't quite understand why this happened. Especially
considering that his song was considered to be one of the favorites. What's also happening is that there's been protests calling for Israel to...
I couldn't believe this. I couldn't believe how callous people could be. They are just calling for his disqualification without investigation. Considering the fact that his song is one of the best songs everyone is looking out for. Honestly, it beat my imagination. I couldn't believe that people can be this callous, people can be this dangerous. Anyway, let's keep following the news.
Be excluded over the Gaza war. Is politics stealing the show?
Yeah, so the EBU has repeatedly insisted that the Eurovision is a cultural event with no place for politics. And what that means is that behind the scenes, they are trying very hard to keep this event free of politics. So in terms of the final tonight, this means that they will certainly be searching the bags of attendees to make sure that they won't be bringing in any flags or slogans representing countries that are not directly represented in the final. Right. In terms of the performers, they're of course also asked not to make their performances political in any way. This means that the Israeli contestant Eden Golan was asked to change both the lyrics and the title of her song. It's now called Hurricane, but it was called October Rain, and it made direct reference to the October 7th Hamas attacks. There was also an instance at the final dress rehearsal today where the French contestant, Slimane, actually stopped his performance and came out to speak in favor of peace and unity. So it's all very, very heated and definitely different. So while there has been politics sort of on stage and off stage at previous events, this is certainly the first time that we're seeing it to such an extent.
Let's bring in Richard Orange.
Honestly, with what this lady has explained here, I will conclude that this Eurovision is free of politics, and his disqualification, it has nothing to do with politics in this, honestly. For them to ask Eden Golan to change the title of her music from Hurricane to October Rain shows that they don't want to associate that hurricane, the name hurricane, with the Israeli and Hamas war going on in Gaza. Honestly, I feel so bad on hearing this. And anyway, let's check out his music. Let's check out his music and see.
Europe, let's come together. Europapa, Europapa. It's now or never. I love you all. Europapa.
Welkom in Europa, blijf hier tot ik dood ga. Europapa, Europapa. Welkom in Europa, blijf hier tot ik dood ga. Europapa, Europapa.
Bezoek mijn friends en friends of neem de benen naar Wenen. Ik wil weg uit Netherlands, maar mijn paspoort is verdwenen. Heb gelukkig geen visum nodig om bij je te zijn. Dus neem de bus naar Polen of de trein.
Can you just imagine the vibes in this performance? Honestly, this guy is so talented, this guy is so magical, but it is quite unfortunate that he is disqualified. And I can't associate this with politics across the whole world. He is disqualified, and that is just it. Let's get the rest of the news.
Nordic editor at The Local, who joins us from the Eurovision Song Contest press office in Malmo. Richard, Dutch singer Joost Klein has now been banned from competing in the final. What do we know about what exactly led to this?
It's still quite mysterious, and I suspect it will be a while before we know the full story. But in a statement confirming his disqualification, the European Broadcasting Union said that Swedish police had investigated a complaint made by a female member of the production crew, which came after an incident following his performance in the semi-final on Thursday. And the Swedish police have separately said that they're investigating what they call unlawful threats, and they've interviewed both Klein and his accuser. One thing the EBU has stressed and did stress in its statement was that this did not involve another performer or anyone connected to another country's delegation, because there had been speculation that it was linked to Israel's delegation, particularly after on Thursday, Joost Klein, he sort of challenged Israel's contestant by, she was asked whether she was worried about creating an extra risk for other performers, and she said, I can't comment on that, and he said, why not, in a way that was interpreted as aggressive, but apparently it was absolutely nothing to do with that.
So off the show, and also law enforcement authorities now involved. There's also been protests calling for Israel to be excluded over the Gaza war. Is politics stealing the spotlight from music in this year's contest, in your opinion?
I think before the contest started, that was certainly something that the organisers in Malmo city's authorities were worried about. But actually, as the Eurovision fans have come in, it's really that they've brought their own enthusiasm, and the energy here at the stadium is actually very positive, and also there were a very large protests in Malmo on Thursday, and they went off relatively peacefully. So I think people were worried there would be, a serious incident or injuries or people being shot, and in the end, nothing really happened like that. It went off relatively well. So I think in a way, it's that the handling of the protest has been a success for the city and for the contest.
So let's get that positive energy going again here. Politics aside, who's your favorite contestant to win tonight, Richard?
Actually, even though I'm joint British and Swedish, I don't really want either the Norwegian twins Marcus and Martinez, who are representing Sweden, to win, or the UK's Ollie Alexander. My favourite is Jacko by Armenia's Lada Diva, because it's kind of a return to the kind of feel-good, old, folky type of Eurovision. I think it's a really fun song, and too many of the acts this year, I feel, are trying to do something a bit too edgy. I quite like that it's kind of going against that and just doing something that's just pure feel-good entertainment. And I would actually, I have to say, I would have considered voting for Joost Klein's Europapa, because it was such a fun song, and it's such a shame that it's been knocked out, actually.
Well, we'll be watching and judging your predictive skills. Richard Orange, Nordic editor at The Local. Many, many thanks, sir.
Thank you very much.
Honestly, guys, it really beat my imagination. I couldn't believe that this young guy with talent, full of vibes, is disqualified. But my happiness is based on the information on air. The disqualification has nothing to do with politics, world politics. It is all about complaint brought against him. But to be frank with you, I am really dissatisfied with his disqualification instantly without being investigated. Honestly, it really beat my imagination because he is one of my favorites in this competition.